Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll be reviewing a Mazda CX-30. This is Mazda's smallest crossover platform, and I believe really one of their best cars they make. Let's get into that. The Mazda CX-30 has existed since 2020, and this particular model is a 2021. Now, you wouldn't really be able to know that, as the car has not changed a lot since it came out. This car is finished in deep crystal blue, and I think is a absolutely gorgeous color, especially for this kind of crossover. You really don't see this kind of paint very often. This car is also the Select package, which gives you these very nice rims that I think really look great for the car. From the front of the car, the CX-30 looks very much like the CX-5, but when you start to look at it from the side of the car, that's when you notice it is its own thing. And the car is kind of an egg shape, but I really like it. You get these really nice looking LED headlights that are cool because they're in all trims of the car. What's also really cool is the Mazda badge itself is incorporated as a radar unit. So this car has adaptive cruise control using this badge and the radar hidden under it as its adaptive cruise control. Another thing I really like about this car is the way the turn signals are. It's pretty cool, as they have a kind of cool dimming pattern if you look closely. And I think that's really neat to have and adds some character to a car in a really crowded class of small crossovers. I think that it's cool that it adds some character. Definitely really cool. Looking at the rear of the car, I really like the shape of this car. And I think it's aged well since it came out. And like I said, it has not changed a lot since it has, but this car has some really nice touches, such as the twin exhaust, and kind of contributes to that unique styling. And I think it's done a good job of building on the Mazda 3 platform, making it into a crossover, while still giving it a distinctive styling. In regards to the styling, there are some controversial bits to this car. As for these plastic paneling, a lot of people never really cared for it, but to be honest, I think it's pretty cool and makes the car have a distinctive styling. Getting into the interior of the car, I think this is probably one of Mazda's biggest strong points for this segment, as the interior is truly unrivaled compared to a lot of its competitors in this tiny crossover space. You get really nice features such as leather on the dash, you get a very nice 3-spoke steering wheel, you get a lot of cool features in this car, and overall I think it's just a really nice place to sit, especially for long road trips and stuff like that. And I really like the setup down here. You have a traditional gear shifter, which I appreciate. You get a little dial here to toggle your sport mode. You have an electronic handbrake. You have an auto hold function. You have your home button, music, navigation, and to go back. And then you have a really nice, and I've always thought this feels super well made, is this volume adjustment knob, which I think is pretty cool. You also have a star to favorite. Overall, though, I think it's a really great setup down here. I'm not the biggest fan of this piano black, as it really does collect a lot of scratches and debris, but overall, I'm a big fan of it in here. You also have physical AC controls, which I really like, and the cool thing is you have dual zone climate control, and you can sync it so they can change at the same time. You have everything very simply laid out, which is very nice. And while on the topic of interiors, I really like that the interior of this car is set up in a driver-focused orientation. The screen tilts towards the driver, and the AC vents and everything, it's very much a driver's feeling car, which I really like that. Something I personally like myself is the screen setup in this car. So with the infotainment system, you get a really relatively tiny screen compared to the rest of the interior. And it's unique as it's not a touch screen. Now, newer models do in fact have a touch screen when the car is placed into Apple CarPlay, but when the system is in its own native Mazda UI, you are controlling solely by the fact of a dial knob down here, as you can see. Now, the dial knob has received a lot of criticism in the car industry, as a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's one of those things, when you learn how to use it properly, it truly is more efficient to use than a touchscreen. Another thing I really like about the interior of this car is actually the gauge setup situation. It's cool because you get a hybrid of analog gauges and a digital gauge, but also it's set up in a way that looks pretty classy in my opinion. Now, you don't get the most flexibility in what you can do with this gauge, as you can really switch between a main kind of more analog style gauge, you can get some driving information, and you get this kind of default screen setup that shows your safety systems at all time. But I think it really looks nice, and I love how they designed the gauge cluster. Stepping into the back seat, I think the back seat is, while pretty cramped, it does work for passengers in a pinch. I certainly wouldn't want to have people back here full time if you're going on a long road trip, but it definitely is ample for very short drives. You also get air vents in the rear of the car, which in this class segment is pretty uncommon. I sit at about 5'11", and in this car, with my seat in the driving position I would have it, you can see here I have pretty ample room for my knees, but definitely still a very tiny backseat. In the rear of the car, in the trunk area, you get around 20 cubic feet of space, and I gotta say, it's actually pretty ample room for a car of this size in this class, so no complaints there. You also get a spare tire, which I think is really nice to have in this class of car. Most cars these days do not include a spare tire anymore, even if it is a smaller donut tire. Looking under the hood at this car has a 2.5 liter Skyactiv technology engine. This is a 4-cylinder and makes around 186 horsepower. Now, compared to the Crosstrek video I just made, this car has a lot more power, and while it is no speed demon, it does make really great power, and this is probably one of my favorite engines in the car industry, as it's just very reliable and makes actually pretty good power for its size. And then if you're really feeling spunky, you can actually get one that is a turbo model of this same exact car, which gives you a turbo on this engine. Now that we've looked at this car in the interior and the exterior, let's get into how it drives. Driving the Mazda CX-30. Now, this car is by no means a sports car, and no crossover will be. But I think one of the key strengths of this car is how it drives. It's just a very well-driving car. It handles well. The acceleration isn't great because you're looking at a car that has around 186 horsepower, but it's definitely more than a lot of competitors in its class. I drive a 2019 Subaru Crosstrek, and that car has 30 less horsepower than this, but this is an excellent driving car. The handling's great, and I really like the setup. You know, a lot of people complain you don't have a lot of visibility in this car, and I think it's definitely a little bit less than some of its competitors, but I still find myself being able to see very well out of this car. And I think this car does an excellent blend of creating a sporty car and a car that also is very practical. It's very comfortable. It's got a very nice interior. I think it's super nice to just be able to do a long road trip in this car. And overall, I think this is a great car that really offers a lot of really good options for people who are looking for something a little more sporty while still having fun with the car, and that has some unique characteristics in my opinion. So overall, the CX-30 in my book, I give it an ultimate 2 thumbs up. This is a great car, and I think for anyone looking for this kind of mix of an excellent interior, a little bit of sportiness, very good practicality, this is a great car. So I hope you all enjoyed watching. Thank you all for watching, and have a good one.